Welcome to the tutorial about basements and stairs. For this one, I'm going to give you a starting file that has walls, one interior wall that helps show where the garage is, and a generic floor that's been installed all over the room or all over the house. What we will be doing is we will add all of the foundation components. You will notice in the start file that you have the foundation as a level, but there is nothing on it. So we will start out by adding the levels that we will need at the different depths we will need them, as well as we will go ahead and put all of the foundation stuff in so that it is 100% perfectly correct by the time we are done. So to start with that, we're going to go ahead and open up one of our elevations. I'm going to go ahead and pick the north elevation. Um, Currently, you have your roof, your ground, and your base level foundation. What I would tell you to do is go ahead and click on this to get the foundation label again and call it Foundation 1. It's going to ask if you want to rename the corresponding views, and I'm going to say yes. I'm going to let it continue to ask me that, but yes, I do want to rename that because Foundation 1 is the one closest to the ground level. I'm now going to add a couple more. So as I click my level tool, I will go over and get just under the other levels, pull across to just under the other levels again. Okay, and that actually gave me Foundation 2. Now, if I set this correctly, I won't have to rename it at all. Foundation 2 is just fine. This, however, is 13 feet deep, is where that is. Okay. The other level that we're going to need to add, so we'll add one more, and that is level, and we're going to go above this one. And it's going to try to call it Foundation 3 because it saw that we started a pattern, but that's not what we want. So once I've done that, I'm going to double click where it says Foundation 3, and this is going to become basement. And I am going to use my arrow keys to go back and correct my improper spelling. Ask to rename, yes. That depth is just at 10 feet 0 inches. And so that is our basement level. That's actually where the basement floor would be. And when we get into walkout basements, that's the level that we're going to assume our basement level is at. So you'll notice we have quite a few additional add-ons. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to go back to my, I'm going to open my Foundation 1 level. I am going to make sure that I have turned on columns, and then I have turned on walls all the way down. Yep, that is correct. And then I'm going to go ahead and I am going to set my view ranges. So on this one, I do want to be the view above. However, I'm going to change the offset to 4 feet. That should allow me to see the bottoms of the walls. I'm sorry, that can stay 2 feet. It is the cut plane that I need to change to 4 feet so I can see where my walls are. Now, in this foundation, the only foundation walls and footers that I'm going to need to put in on this level are the exterior ones on my garage. The interior one on the garage, I'm actually going to put in as part of the basement because what I'm going to have is the basement area that encloses all this space. So it's actually going to be part of the same foundation wall that's under this this front wall here. So I'm only going to need to put my foundation under these 3 walls. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and do that and then come back and show us next steps. After creating the necessary walls, you'll have a view that looks like this. Now, in order to keep the view showing only what is on the Foundation 1 level, we need to actually make a quick adjustment to our view range. So under view range, you'll notice as I was drawing, I did go ahead and change my cut plane to 1.5. So it is below the floor level, so I only see the walls that are on this layer. Now, the bottom and the view depth are set so that I would see unlimited. In the past, our foundation level was the lowest level, so it was fine to just see everything that was below it. But if you change your bottom to the associated level and you don't set these to -1, so -1, okay, you won't see your foundation. If you leave those at 0, you won't see the actual, I'm sorry, the footer. You'll see the foundation wall, but not the footer. You need to set those at -1 so it will see 1 foot below. Now, might we actually see some of the tops of the foundation walls? Yes. There's not really a way to make that not happen, but that will be okay. We just don't want to see full foundations of the stuff below or everything below. So once we've done that, we can now go ahead and close this view. And I am going to go to Foundation 2. We are going to make some changes to our view range so we can see what we need to see. So currently, our bottom, since this is the bottom level, we can go ahead and make that unlimited so we can see down as much as we need to. And the top, we're actually going to make the ground level. I usually set this at 2 feet, and that seems to work okay. Now you'll notice we don't see anything yet, and I accidentally pushed enter and got out of it. What we need to do is we need to set this so that we are above ground. So we know that our level is 13 feet underground, which means that our cut plane needs to be over 13 feet, which I can put in 14 feet and apply that, and you'll notice I now see my walls. I am also going to make sure that my visibility is set correctly. So I highlight all, uncheck, highlight none, and I still, since it's a foundation level, I want to see columns and I want to see walls. So we'll make sure those settings are correct. What we're going to do now, though, is we're going to go ahead and trace our foundation walls in. And as usual, they're probably going to go at my level and go down a certain amount. So let me see base constraint, foundation, top level. Let's see if it'll let me go ahead and do them to ground level. I know sometimes it doesn't like, it doesn't like doing that again, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and put them in by tracing the finished face exterior. And like we've done in the past, we'll kind of start in a corner and go around so that it is creating the wall to the inside. Now I have the wrong type, so I'll switch all that at the end, which is fine. Now here, what you want to do is come to kind of where the foundation wall, the foundation of the garage meets, so that you can go straight across. It does mean that when you hit here, okay, finding the end point of this, you're going to have to click and then come down some. And I know it looks a little weird, but that is going to make the wall jog just a little bit in a vertical direction to stay lined up underneath everything. Actually not liking the way that jogs actually. So I'm going to make a change. So we're going to actually delete this, and delete that little chunk. I am going to see if I can't go to my 3D view, grab all these walls I just made, change their type back to the foundation wall. So if you make that mistake, like I did, you can make that change. I am going to tell their up to level to be ground level and apply that so it goes all the way up. And at that point, I can change their base offset to 0 so that they are at the right depth, which is nice. So 3D view, having the 3D view out is not a bad plan. So I'm now going to go back to Foundation 2. I'm going to grab this endpoint and I am going to, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that right where it is. And I am going to grab my wall tool. I am going to go to my correct foundation tool. I am going to go to finished face. I know this is going to sound weird, but I'm going to flip it to finished face interior so I can draw in the other direction. It's a concrete wall. It's the same on both sides, so there's not an issue there. And I'm going to draw all the way to the end point here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I have to take this wall and I'll see if it'll let me change it in this view. I don't know why it's not liking changing it in this view, but it did. It did let me change it. And I can put this at 0. I think it's because I already changed one of them. That may be the key there. And I'm going to use the cornering tool to, those already blended in. And I'm going to use it to blend these two in and get rid of that little extra nub. Okay. So now I have I have my base foundation wall in. So just like I did before with the foundation walls, I'm going to go ahead and go down to my view range. I am going to turn this back so that I'm in the bottom part where I need to be. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 1.5 or 1.5 feet. So all I see now is my foundation wall. I'll then trace this with the footer, as you have seen done in the past. So we'll just go to architecture, go to wall. We're going to make sure this time that we have the footing. We're going to go wall center line. And at this point, you can pick a wall center line and start tracing. There we go. And we will just keep going. This will take me a few minutes, so I'm going to stop the video and come back. Now your footer has been traced and your footer is in the right spot. It's kind of interesting to look at our 3D view because as you can see, we've now got what looks like a very extended foundation wall around the outside. And again, this would all be in theory underground as this is the basement. But you'll also notice that our garage foundation is at the surface level. Now, we also created a basement level. So I do want to go ahead and address the basement level and go ahead and put some stuff on there because we are going to use that basement level. The basement level, as we created it, is essentially the grade or the ground level of a walkout basement, or this is 10 feet underground. This is also where we would pour our basement floor and start to work with stairs and that sort of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and I am going to close foundation 2 as a view and double click basement. You will see based on our current view settings that we do see the foundation wall that is around it, which is perfect. I'm going to look at my view range and just double check some things. We've got a standard view here, and this is set up very similar to your ground level, so we're good there. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to verify in the visibility that we've got everything check marked. So that should be good to go as well. If you get further in the project, as we start adding various things, you may want to hide items like electrical and that sort of stuff in this view, because this will likely become more of a floor plan view. So when we now need to add a floor, we're going to assume that this is an unfinished basement. So we'll go ahead and we will add our floor. We will choose a concrete floor. And we don't need to do any height offset or anything. But now what we're going to do is we are going to click, and right now it's going to let you pick walls, which would put it into the wall. It's not actually how it's done in a basement. The basement floor is actually poured as a slab inside the foundation walls as a floating floor. So there's dirt and all that that's prepared underneath, and then the concrete is poured on top. So what we want to actually do is we're going to use the other tool, which is pick line. And if you pick line, you can now pick the inside surfaces of your entire border. I won't bother with a stop and a start here, but you'll just watch me click. And again, I'm going to get all of the insides. And once I have those, I should be able to click accept. I now have my concrete floor. And as you can see in my 3D view, if I now pivot my view, that floor is now there. And again, you may be wondering what the deal is there. This is based on the codes. We want our footer always at least 3 feet into the soil. At this part, we can now move from the basement creation because we now have a basement. We have an enclosed space, we have a floor, we have walls, we have everything we need. Now, in reality, would we also add in footers and columns and that sort of stuff for the house? Absolutely. And that's something you can do after the video is made because you already know how to do that. For our purposes, we're just going to go over the stairs at this point. Um, So if you go into architecture, you're going to get your stair tool. Okay. And the nice part is you can, the first thing you're going to do is first off, the assembled stair is the only one. There are a couple others that are in here. You can, if you'd like, kind of mess with some of these. If you were looking for something, if you're doing this on the outside and you wanted like a front porch with a cement stair, you could look at some of the like the precast stairs. But for now, just go ahead and go with the assembled stair. This works just fine for our purposes. Now we want it to start at our basement level, which is correct. And the top level actually we want to be ground level. Okay, so go ahead and make those changes and hit apply. It's already doing some calculations for you based on the length of travel, and it's going to tell you that you need 18 stairs. Um, and it makes a little bit of an adjustment in terms of the actual riser height and stuff like that, but that's just fine. You can also tell it how wide the stairs to be. For us, 3 feet is just fine. And what we will do is um, you can pick your location line just like you pick your regular line. So right now it's the run center. I can also have it be the exterior support left or right. I'm going to pick the exterior support left because I'm actually going to run this staircase right along this backside wall. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a point and I'm going to start drawing. And as you can see, it creates stairs as I go. Now, what I need to do is draw the line at least as long as I want. So since this is going to be a straight run staircase, I'm going to drag it out so it stops creating stairs. You can see just below the staircase, it kind of gives you a count of 11 created, 8 remaining, and that sort of stuff. So you can drag it out till it says 0 remaining and go ahead and click. And once you've done that, you can go ahead and accept it. So in your basement level, okay, it shows you this. It shows you the up direction, shows you about the cut. That's usually about where your cutoff line is. And then the rest, it shows you the rest of the staircase. As I go to my ground level, I now see the staircase peeking out and it's labeled down. Now, this is actually inside my floor. So to fix that, I'm going to go to my 3D view and I'm going to find where I can select the actual floor that's in the house, grabbing an end here. And I'm going to then go to the ground level with it, since it's highlighted, and I'm going to click edit boundary. Now, this already has a boundary around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rectangle tool and I am essentially going to draw a hole in the floor that goes a little over halfway down the stairs. And when I do that, it should accept that. And you'll notice I now have a hole in the floor. Okay. Looking at it from a 3D view, I can turn this and you can see my staircase now comes up through the floor. Now you can change this a little bit because if you look at the way this is, the nice part is you can click on the floor and it kind of shows you a hollow view. I really need to actually take this back quite a bit more because as you can see, everybody hit their head walking up these staircases unless you're like 3.5 feet tall. So you can actually take that back a little bit further to cut that hole in the floor. Now, for the staircase demo part of this uh, practice drawing, I'd like for you to put all 3 different types of staircases into the house and go ahead and make some cuts. I'd also like you to play with the walls, because normally these staircases aren't just hanging out. Like this one would be here, and it might have a wall next to it, where or it may be fully enclosed where there's a doorway in. The basement stairs are typically kind of have a door that you have to open to go down them, so you can mess with how to do those various things on your own, since you already know how to put in doors, how to flip them, how to put in interior walls. So go ahead and put some interior walls in and play with that. But just to show you the difference in the staircases, if I go back to my architecture and I go back to the stair tool, if I want to put one in with like an L-shaped landing, now you don't have to do it along a wall, but you can. I'm going to go ahead and say exterior support right. Automatic landing is checked. So what I'm going to do is I am going to run along this wall, and I am going to have it make, let's see, how many have I made? I've made 10 so far. I don't want to make that many. Okay. Oh, it is. I'm sorry. I did not change my level correctly. Now I have. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to create like 7 of them. That's fine. And then what I clicked, and you'll notice I have stairs left. So now if I click here, oh, that's not making them in the right direction. Well, I can draw the rest of it. Failed to generate an automatic landing. Okay. I'm going to undo that. And just for this purpose, because you can always move the stair, we're going to create the stair. It doesn't want to do this, so we're going to just cancel out of it, which now you've seen how to do that. So we'll go ahead and go to stair. We'll make sure it's going to the ground level. So I get my 18 stairs. I am going to actually change this to since I'm turning to the left. Yeah, since I'm turning to the left, I'm going to go ahead and do this so I can move it later. So here's my run, and I'm going to go up 7 or 8 stairs. I'm then going to click again, and I'm going to draw this way the rest of the way. And so what that gets me is an L-shaped staircase like this. I can click my move tool. I can come in and I can grab this. Sorry, I can grab the whole thing. And I can use the move tool incorrectly. And grab the whole thing. Sorry, it's not wanting to move. It may be because I'm inside this tool. There we go. I can just highlight it and move it. And then you can place this in the corner as you'd like. But you'll notice it's labeled 1 through 8, or I'm sorry, 1 through 7, and then 8 through 18. And it automatically generates this landing. And the way that looks 3-dimensionally, sorry, I'm going to accept it. Actually put it in. Okay, it's telling me the rail is not continuous. That's fine. I do have it up against a wall. Okay, but if I click on my floor and turn this, you can see that what it automatically created for me is the stairs, the landing, and then the stairs up the rest of the way. I can then cut out a portion of my floor here. Again, I can put walls around it. I can do the various things I need to do to kind of enclose this and make it look nice. Okay. I'm not going to make you watch me do that. This is getting long enough as it is. The third one and final one is the U shape. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to get out of that. We're going to click stair. We are going to go to the ground level from the basement. Hit apply so it generates all your numbers. decide what you're going to do. I am going to go ahead and do runs. You're probably going to want to pick your this based on the run, and you're going to want to pick left or right depending on which way you want to turn. So I'm going to go ahead and pick run right this time, and I'm going to start here. I am going to go 9 because that's going to be directly in half. And then after I've done that half, I'm then going to go back this way 9. And you'll notice it automatically creates this landing for me. Again, I can highlight the whole thing. I can move it into this corner. Maybe the corner's not as good of an idea, but I'm going to move it against this edge and put it here. And that's my up value. I'll go ahead and accept it. When I look at it in my 3D view, we'll highlight the floor. And as you can see, it automatically creates the first run, the landing, and the second run. Again, that would likely have some walls around it. I would need to likely cut the floor a decent amount, probably in a square from at least the start of the staircase. I might even need to come back a little bit. And again, I can enclose that with some interior walls as the staircase area. What I would like for you to turn in is you'll see on the sheet screenshots of several different views. So screenshots of the basement view, screenshots of foundation 2, screenshots of foundation 1. All right. And maybe some other things that you can take screenshots of just to show that you've done this. I'm going to be expecting to see that you've done everything I've shown you in the video. I know it's not realistic in a house, but I do want you to put in all 3 types of staircases. And at all 3 different types of staircases, I'd like you to mess with cutting the floor, making sure you have enough head clearance for coming up, putting interior walls around it on the ground level, interior walls around it on the base level, and I will have you use some screenshots of those various staircases to show what you did. And don't forget, you can always select the floor and it'll go blue and kind of transparent so we can see through it as needed. Good luck and enjoy messing with these so that you feel very comfortable by the time you need them next.